Hey, welcome everyone. This is Chelsea from ChelsTeachesYoga.com. Today we are going to be doing another class focused in on the sacral chakra, so this low belly region. It's going to involve a lot of hips, a lot of lower back, and it's just going to be a lot more gentle of a practice. If you're looking for something a little more challenging, you can check out the link in my bio for my other sacral chakra class, which is just a little more fast-paced if you're looking to be challenged a little bit more. This is going to be a great class, though, for really any level, and I think you'll find that different things are challenging for different people. So just because we're moving slower this class and we're holding poses for a little bit longer doesn't necessarily mean it's not challenging. So with that being said, go ahead and meet me on your mat today. I would recommend, if you have them, having a blanket and a block. If not, no problem. You can still do this practice. I just personally like having these props to support me during my practice. So with that being said, thank you so much again for joining me, and we'll meet back in child's pose. All right, so coming to a child's pose, check in here, just see what's more comfortable for you, maybe knees wide, maybe knees together. It's really up to you, just kind of feeling it out. And then gently walking your hands forward in front of you and allowing the forehead to rest down onto your mat. And then just using these first few moments to just kind of come into your body. Come into your breath and just connect with the energy within you. So maybe just shifting a little bit the ribs or the hips side to side, rocking the head out, loosening up the neck and shoulders. And then eventually settling to a place here at the center where you can embrace stillness. Beginning to breathe in and out through the nose. And using that breath intentionally to calm down the mind, to calm down the body. Beginning that Ujjayi pranayama. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose and just adding that little bit of constriction to the back of your throat, so that as you breathe, it'll make the sound kind of like ocean waves or like Darth Vader. Just beginning to tap into your power, your energy, your emotions. The sacral chakra, the second chakra that sits between the pubic bone and the navel, in that low belly area, that hip region, the pelvic region, is responsible for all of our emotions. It's responsible for our sense of joy, our sense of pleasure. And it's also where we connect to our creative flow. So starting to just draw your attention to that area of the body as you continue to breathe with that Ujjayi breath. So noticing that energy here in that low belly region, that sacral chakra, Svadhisthana. Visualize an orange glowing light that sits there just at the center of your pelvis, inside you. And imagine it's filling you up with its light and its warmth, allowing you to feel safe and secure, and giving you permission to connect to your emotions, whatever they may be, whenever they may come up. Know that you have the right to connect here, to have and express these emotions. Visualize that orange glowing light filling up the entirety of your body now. So spreading out of the pelvis
And down into the legs, into the feet, up through the torso, the belly, the chest, the arms, the shoulders, all the way up through the crown of the head, filling you up and allowing you to be just connected to that creative flow energy. Begin to bend at the elbows, bringing the palms together in prayer, and draw the thumbs back towards the base of the skull as you feel this glowing orange energy circulating through the body with your breath. Release the hands back down, planting through the palms and spreading the fingertips wide. Using your next inhale, start to lift up, rounding through the ribs. So taking it one vertebrae at a time as your hips come forward, letting the shoulders move past the fingertips, and then exhale, rounding it all the way back into that child's pose. Just taking a couple rounds here. Inhale, rolling yourself forward, feeling that length, feeling that motion through the spine, and exhaling to roll back. 3 more here. Last one. Gently inhale to rise, and walking the knees in so that they're underneath your hips now, coming into a tabletop position, okay? So wrists are under shoulders, knees are under hips, and we're just gonna spread the fingertips really wide here, hug the belly button back towards your spine, and let the lower ribs come in towards the midline of the body. And we're just gonna start to find a little bit of movement, a little opening in the shoulders, a little opening in the wrists, shifting front to back here. As you start to feel that warmth in the wrists, taking the hips back, so just circle them over to the left, all the way over, bringing yourself forward. Shoulders move over the fingertips, hips over to the right, back and around. So just big hip circles, keeping your belly active. So the belly button is continuously pulling back towards the spine. Spine is long, so the crown of your head is reaching forward. All right, on this next one, go ahead and switch the direction of your circles, taking the hips over to the right, up and around to the left and back. Just moving with your breath. As you move, again, just feeling that swirling orange energy radiating from the sacral chakra, your creative flow, your emotions, your sense of joy, pleasure. Feel connected and free in that energy, in that movement. One more. Awesome. Settling back into your neutral tabletop, adjust if you need to, knees under hips, wrists are underneath shoulders, and we're going to move into a one-legged tabletop here. So staying on your left knee, extend the right leg straight back behind you and try to avoid dumping the torso down towards the floor. Rather, continue to hug the lower ribs in towards the midline and bring the belly button back to the spine. So lots of activation in your right leg here. Toes are pointing down towards the floor. And we're just going to start to bring some more heat to that sacral chakra area, so the low belly area. Taking a big breath in as you extend through the sole of your right foot. On your exhale, start to draw the right knee towards the right tricep. Inhale, take it back, lengthen, keeping the crown of your head reaching forward. Exhale, right knee to right tricep. Activating through that core. Inhale back. Exhale, right knee. 2 more on this side. Use your breath. And then inhale to extend. Exhale, release it down. Taking a second, just let the hips kind of sway side to side, just wagging your tail a bit. And then moving on to the other side. So setting up, making sure the belly is activated, gazing down in front of your fingertips just slightly into the center of your mat. Slowly engage the left leg back behind you. So again, checking in here that you're not dumping into the lower back, but you're strengthening through the core and pressing the ground away from you. Flexing the left toes towards the earth. Inhale. Exhale, left knee hugs to left tricep. Squeeze. Inhale, send it back. Exhale, left knee, left tricep. 3 more, left side. And then inhale to extend, exhale, release down, slowly sitting back for just a moment onto the heels, kind of getting some of that tension out of the wrists, so just rolling out the wrists. Little circles here, and then change the direction of your circles. And then maybe even just shake them out. Just let them go. All right. Now coming slowly back into that tabletop pose. We're going to tuck our toes and then send the hips all the way up and back as we straighten out the legs, downward facing dog. And maybe just walk it out here for a second. Bending one knee at a time. Setting the heels towards the floor. And then coming to center. So making sure, just like in tabletop, your fingertips are spread nice and wide and you're grounding through each fingertip of each palm. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, bend the knee and stack your hip open. Feel that opening, that expansion in that space where the sacral chakra lives. Inhale, extend the leg. And then exhale, looking forward, use the core, draw the knee up and in, and step the right foot to the pinky edge of your right hand here. All right, so we're coming into our lizard lunge. So just feel this out for a second, using the ball of your left foot to kind of press front to back, draw the belly up and in. Just feeling out that movement, feeling out this left hip flexor. And taking a nice deep inhale, exhale, release your left knee down to the floor and untuck the left toes. So this is a great place to use your block. So just feeling out again, seeing how your left hip feels. You know, you can shift around a little bit. If you feel like you want to go a little bit deeper, this is where you can take your block. And you could just come down to the forearms, onto the block. If you wanted to go even further, you could come down to the floor. And just finding that edge that works for you. And just holding here, letting the left hip sink down and forward. Again, try not to dump the belly down towards the floor, so rather keep some engagement. It doesn't have to be a huge tightening, just a light engagement of the belly button back to the spine, and still keeping your spine long by gazing down towards the mat, slightly in front of the feet, or in front of your block, or whatever it is. We're gonna hold here for 5 breaths. Again, this space here is where all those emotions live. So if things come up for you, try to observe, to acknowledge without any sort of judgment or criticism. Just allow what needs to come up to come up. One more breath on this side. All right. And on that next inhale, walk yourself back up. If you had a block, just kind of move it out of the way, planting the palms so that they are underneath the shoulders. Tuck the left toes, lift your left knee, and then we're going to step the right foot all the way back, lifting the hips, downward facing dog. Walk it out. Maybe even take the heels to a little lift and lower. I think that feels really nice. All right. Inhale, right leg again lifts. Exhale to bend the right knee and stack your hip open. We're just going to do some range of motion exercises with this right knee. So taking the right knee out, drawing it in towards that left thigh, up and back. So we're just kind of working that full mobility, that full range of motion in that right hip joint, big circles. Cultivating that energy, allowing it to circulate through the body from that sacral chakra. One more. Inhale, extend the right leg. Exhale, release back down to down dog. Walk it out. All right, shoulders probably feeling a little bit on fire here. That's okay. Take a moment to find some stillness, to pick up on that Ujjayi breath again if you lost it. And then inhale the left leg high. Exhale, bend the left knee, stack your hip open. Inhale, lengthen the left leg, looking forward, draw the belly in to hug the knee forward. Left foot steps to the outer edge of that left pinky, okay? So again, just setting up in this high lizard lunge for a moment. Wrists under shoulders, fingertips spread wide. Feel it out on that right hip. Just a little front to back motion. Engaging the belly button lightly back to the spine. And then taking a nice deep inhale. Exhale releases the knee to the floor. So I have a little bit more of a sensitive knee on this side. So I'm going to take the blanket underneath, which is great. If you have sensitive knees, you can do the same with a blanket, or you can simply fold your mat under for a little extra support. So again, coming down to that knee and just feeling out what your edge might be on this side. And it may be different from the previous side, so you can stay up on the palms. Just again, cultivating that circulation of the energy, releasing of any blockages here in that hip flexor area, that low belly, that pelvic region. If you want to go deeper, maybe coming down, forearms to a block or forearms to the floor. Ooh, fell a little bit. All right, and then just settling into it, which can sometimes be hard because, again, these are really tight areas of the body. And when places in our bodies get tight, they are manifestations of blockages or things that are unexpressed in our lives. So that might be an emotional thing, that might be something in a relationship, in a job. And when we do not face it in real life, it gets stored in the body somehow. So it's possible that you're quite tight in the hips because this is where we store all of those emotions. It is that emotional center. If you're feeling any sort of lack of joy or pleasure, you could be really tight here and it might come up for you, and that's okay. And I realize we're still here, so just know that those things might come up, and again, be compassionate with yourself. You know, no need to judge, no need to criticize. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths on this side. And then inhale to walk it back up, removing the block out of the way. Wrists under shoulders, tuck your back toes, send that left leg back, downward facing dog. And go ahead and move my blanket. Walk it out for a moment. We'll take those range of motion exercises in the left hip. So inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, bend the knee, stack your hip open. So we're just drawing big circles in the air with that left knee, drawing it outward, in towards the right thigh and back up. And try to keep that movement just into the hip joint. So your shoulders are still square to the floor, head is still relaxed, palms evenly weighted. 1 more. Inhale, extend the left leg. Exhale to down dog. All right, go ahead and drop the knees down to the mat and bring yourself back to a seat. I'm going to go ahead and face you for this. So again, coming into another really big hip movement here. We're just trying to release any sort of tension, any sort of blockages that live down here in this low belly and this pelvic region, because that's what's gonna kind of release any emotions that we are not expressing, any emotions that we are suppressing. So coming into a one-legged hip stretch. I actually don't know what the name of this pose would be, but you're gonna have your left knee bent, and you're going to take your right leg, wrapping the arms underneath the right calf. So the leg should come up in towards the elbow pits, okay? And then just hugging the leg in, flexing your right foot. You can clasp hands. From here, try to keep your shoulders back. Try to keep the crown of your head lifted and the weight forward. So you don't want to lean way back here, but rather try to stay grounded through the sit bones. And we're just opening up the hip. Finding some really intense external rotation here. Breathing through it, 3 more breaths. And then go ahead, release. We'll switch it out, keeping that right knee bent.
Sitting up nice and tall and hugging the left leg into the chest, using the pits of the elbows. And again, just trying to kind of shift around, find those sit bones. It ends up being a little easier for me to bring my outer arm to wrap around kind of the arch of the foot and kind of clasp there, just because I'm not quite as open in the hips. And sitting up tall through the crown of the head. Breathing. Being kind with yourself, knowing that if you need to let go a little bit, come out of it a little bit, that's fine. If anything comes up for you, just make note, just keep breathing. Stay for 2 more breaths on this side. Shoulders back. Go ahead and release. All right. So now we're going to take the hips. The hips are a ball and socket joint. So the femur, which is the major bone of this upper leg, it rotates in the hip socket both ways. And we generally don't get to work too much of the internal rotation of the hip. We kind of stay away from it a lot just because it's kind of weird. I mean, we don't move that way too often, but it's actually really important because the hip does move in both directions. So we want to keep it mobile in both directions. So we're going to take ourselves into a half hero pose. This is another place where I generally need a block. If you don't have a block, you could use a blanket or a couple of pillows. So just see how it feels. Have something available just in case. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our left leg long and bend the right knee. And we're going to bring the right foot to the outside of the right hip. Now what we want here is our knees to be totally in line with each other. So totally touching. Inner thighs are engaged together. If it's really difficult and you're splaying outward, which I do a little bit, this is where you can take your block or your pillows or your blanket and just come up to seated. And so by elevating the hips, it relieves some of that tension on that rotation, and you can bring that knee in a little bit closer here, okay? So just making sure that that right heel is actually on the outside of the right hip. And then just hanging out here, hands come to heart center. Try to keep your left toes flexed. Now, if you'd like a little bit more, you can start to bring the hands back behind you. And you can do this from a block or with your hips down on the ground. And just bringing the hands underneath you. And this is just going to take you into a little more extension through the front body, through those front hip muscles. Then even depending on how that feels, if you want even more, you could come down to the forearms. So that's just further extension of the front body. But you want to keep the knees in line. So inner thighs are touching, maybe drop the head back. Bring the chin back to the chest. If you dropped back, slowly come up. And then just leaning over onto the side, taking your right leg straight, shaking it out. I know I'm gonna need this block on the other side too, so I'm just gonna stay seated on it. If you're not sure, if you think that one hip might be a little more mobile, then you might not, then you can remove it and see. But we're taking it to the other side now. So right leg is straight, bending the left knee, and bringing the left foot to the outside of the left hip, okay? You might even take your calf and kind of roll it out. And then bringing the inner thighs together, knees touching, sitting up tall, hands can just come to heart and you can breathe. This might be as far as you want to go today into your internal rotation. If it's really intense, just hang out here and breathe. If you'd like to go a little deeper, more extension through the front body, hands can come back just behind you. Or you can drop down to the forearms as long as the knees stay together. Maybe dropping the head back. Be aware that if you're seated up on a block, you are creating a little bit of a back bend here. So just keeping your belly engaged to help kind of support the curve of the lumbar spine. We'll take it for 2 more breaths. And slowly bringing chin back to chest. Walk it back up. Releasing the left leg. Go ahead and remove the block now if you had it. Shake them out. All right. All right, finally, we're going to go into a little twist. So keeping the legs strong and long, just bending the right knee just like before, but this time we're going to step the right foot over the left leg, okay? Planting the sole of the foot down. Bring your right hand behind you for support as you flex the left toes. Inhale, left arm extends along with the crown of the head. And on your exhale, your first option is to just hug the front of your right shin and then gaze back over the right shoulder. If you have a little bit more openness, rather you can take the left elbow to hook to the outside of the right knee and gaze back over the right shoulder. Just wringing out that tension in the spine. Let your hips twist somewhat to the left, so you're pulling in two directions here. The ribs and the shoulders are moving to the right, and the hips are still kind of pressing to the left. Come back to that sacral chakra, that visual of that orange swirling energy at your very center. Feel its power, feel its warmth. Feel your right to connect here. One last inhale. Exhale, release back to center. All right, we're going to switch it out. Right leg comes long, bend the left knee, hugging it in. Step it over the right leg. Flex through the right toes, find length through the spine as the left hand comes just behind the tailbone for support. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, twist, either hugging the front of the shin or hooking the elbow, gazing back over the left shoulder. You're welcome to take a mudra here if you're familiar with any mudras, connecting to even that further energy. But again, feeling that warm, glowing orange energy, that center of your emotions radiating. And just observe how that energy is affecting you. Observe how it's showing up for you right now. Last inhale. Exhale, release. All right, taking the legs. Now we're coming into a butterfly pose. So soles of the feet together, knees out wide, and we're going to take a wide butterfly. So bring your feet out a little further in front of you than maybe you normally would so that you have a really large diamond. Sitting up tall, roll the shoulders back. Imagine your heart is being pulled forward, and as if somebody has a string actually attached to your sternum and is pulling the chest forward, begin to lean forward, melting the heart towards the front. And when you feel that space where your body doesn't want to go any further, respect that and stay there. Just release the head, neck, and shoulders. Never pull yourself. Though as you breathe deeply, you may release a little bit more into the body. The body may create a little bit more space. And if that's the case, you can continue folding, but only if that's the case. Never pull it. Walk it up on the inhale. Draw the knees back together in center, scooching yourself a little more towards the center of your mat here. Feet planted into the ground and just slowly lower all the way down onto the mat. All right, we'll come into a one-legged stretch now. It's really great for the low back. Take your left leg out long and just hug the right knee into the chest, giving it a squeeze. Try to keep the shoulders melting, released into the floor. And on your next exhale, straighten out the leg and interlace the fingers, possibly behind the thigh. If you want a deeper stretch, you can start to move the hands up the leg, so possibly behind the knee, behind the calf or the ankle. But try to keep the shoulders, again, just melting into the floor. Find that edge that your body wants to go today, and just respect that. Stay for 3 more breaths. Start to bend that right knee again, hugging it into the chest. Inhaling. And on your exhale, use your left hand to draw the right knee across the body into a last spinal twist. Right arm opens out to the side. Gaze over your right fingertips. Next inhale, unravel back to the center. And then switching it out, let your right leg grow long and hug the left knee into the chest. Just giving it a squeeze. On your next exhale, straighten the leg out, interlace the hands behind this leg. And again, it might be different than the right leg, and that's totally okay. Might be tighter, might be looser. No need to criticize or judge. Just observe, breathe. Come back to the energy of the sacral chakra. Come back to the emotions that live in that space of the body. Last 2 breaths. Bending the left leg back into the chest, giving yourself a squeeze as you inhale. Exhale, use the right hand to draw the left leg across the body. Opening the left arm out to the side and just gazing out over the left fingertips. Inhale to bring yourself back to center and release the left leg long. Shake the legs out a little bit. Shake the head out side to side. And just allow the hands to rest at the sides of your body as you close your eyes. Begin to settle here onto the floor, letting everything release. Taking a big breath in through your nose, big cleansing breath. Fill up the entire torso, the whole body with that energy. Exhale out the mouth. And just taking the time here, resting. Shavasana. Start to bring a little bit of movement back to the body. Wiggle out your fingers, your toes, rock the head from side to side. And on an inhale, extend your arms up overhead for a big full body stretch. Reach through fingertips, through toe tips. And then just exhale, begin to bend your knees, rock over onto either side, and just hang out there for maybe a breath or two, as long as you really need. Knowing that this is your time to transition. There's no rush. This is your practice. And when you feel ready, gently press yourself back up to a comfortable seated position. Finding that shape that works for you, where you can just embrace stillness for a moment, embrace silence, letting the eyes remain gently closed and bringing the hands together in front of your heart. Rolling the shoulders back, softening through the muscles of your face, connecting one last time to that energy of the sacral chakra. That emotion, that creative flow within you, that always exists within you, knowing that you may always access it. There are always ways to connect, to unblock anything that's standing in your way. And the best way to start is simply to breathe. Gently allow thumb tips to come up to the center of your forehead, your third eye space, and exhale to bow down. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for practicing with me today. I really hope you enjoyed this gentle sacral chakra yoga class. Make sure you head to my website, ChelsTeachesYoga.com, for updates on new videos as well as new content, blog posts, and cool email content that I send out all the time. You can subscribe at my website. And as I said at the beginning of class, if you love this class and you want more sacral chakra with a little bit more challenge, check out this link here and make sure you subscribe here. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day. Namaste.